Good evening and welcome to the Cabarrus County Schools Board of Education regularly scheduled business meeting tonight. We're glad you all could be here. And at this time, we're going to have our opening ceremony, and it will be conducted by the ROTC junior cadets from out at J. Robinson High School. The commanding the color guard and carrying the United States flag is Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Kushal Patel. Cadet First Lieutenant Samantha Lepore is carrying the North Carolina flag, and Cadet Senior Airman Quinn Hamler and Cadet First Lieutenant Eric Hatfield are guarding the colors. The cadets are led by Lieutenant Colonel Scott Rose, United States Air Force retired, and Master Sergeant Wayne Outram, United States Air Force retired. Would you all stand as we recognize the colors?
Color guard. Halt. Left. Haste. Freeze and colors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here, colors. Post. Right. Haste. Forward. March.
You have to admit that's very impressive, don't you think? That's our J. Robinson ROTC cadets. Okay, board members, the first item on our agenda tonight is to set the agenda for tonight's meeting. You've had this agenda for several days now. Do I have a motion that we accept the agenda as presented?
Second.
Have a motion? Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the agenda is set as presented. All right, the first thing on our agenda tonight is the recognitions portion of our meeting. And the first one is 4.1 Impact Through Education Awards. And I'd like to ask Ms. Ronnye Boone to the podium, and she'll be bringing you up for your recognition tonight. Once again, thank you all very much for being here. Ms. Boone.
Good evening, Chairman Shue, board members, Dr. Shepard. Good evening to the members in our audience. Before we begin the Impact Through Education Awards tonight, I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor for these awards, Concord Printing and Mr. Ben Palmer. We just want to reiterate how much we appreciate their generous support of Cabarrus County Schools and their support for sponsoring the Impact Through Education Awards. Tonight, the awards will recognize students and staff from Royal Oaks Elementary School and Concord High School. We'll begin with Royal Oaks Elementary School, and I'd like to invite any members of the school's administrative team to come forward to stand with their students and staff. Our first honoree from Royal Oaks is Caroline Farrell. Would Caroline and her family please come forward? Caroline is a fifth grade student at Royal Oaks, and she is in Ms. Depew's homeroom. She is caring and has a considerate and has a caring temperament. She loves learning and sharing knowledge, which is evidenced by her frequently frustrating her first grade sister trying to teach her long division. She spends her free time in reading in her room, watching movies, playing the Wii, or drawing. She loves her 2 dogs and her cat and has a passion for all animals. She's been taking dance lessons for the past 7 years. She started playing softball this past spring and enjoyed pitching in the fall league. Bowling and movies are her favorite nights out. She loves cheeseburgers, hot wings, burritos, and salad. She enjoys spending time at Harvest Community Church and camping with her family. Congratulations, Caroline, for making an impact through education at Royal Oaks Elementary School. Be seated. Did you get your picture? Our next honoree from Royal Oaks is Quarte Hopper. Would Quarte and his family please come forward? Quarte is a fifth grade student at Royal Oaks, and he also is in Mrs. Depew's homeroom. Quarte loves being in school, working on projects, and helping others. He enjoys being with his family and playing basketball with his friends. His favorite NBA team is the Boston Celtics. At home, Quarte likes to draw and help his little sister with her homework. After high school, Quarte wants to go to college and pursue a career as a referee. Congratulations, Quarte, on making an impact through education at Royal Oaks Elementary School. Our next honoree from Royal Oaks Elementary School is Mrs. Molly Carlberg. Would Ms. Carlberg and her family please come forward? Molly Carlberg started her career as a Royal Oaks Rocket 9 years ago. Over the past 9 years, she has served as a kindergarten teacher, first grade teacher, a mentor, and currently she is the K-2 lead teacher. Ms. Kahlberg said the first time she toured Royal Oaks, she knew the school was the perfect fit. I love the students, parents, and staff in our community and have spread this passion through teaching, leadership opportunities, and encouraging others. Over the past few years, Royal Oaks has helped me grow not only as an educator but as a person. Thank you, Ms. Kahlberg, for your commitment and dedication to the Royal Oaks school community, and congratulations on receiving the Impact Through Education Award. And our final honoree from Royal Oaks this evening is Ms. Yolanda Massey. Would Ms. Massey and her family please come forward? Mrs. Massey works at Royal Oaks in the cafeteria. The students know Mrs. Massey as the money lady because she runs their ID cards and collects their money. Mrs. Massey has worked at Royal Oaks for more than 10 years and loves her job very much. She enjoys working with children and greeting them with a hug as they go through the lunch line. Mrs. Massey said if she had enough time, she would hug every child every day and let them know how special they are. A co-worker said, Mrs. Massey knows every child by name and always has something positive to say to each of them as they go through the line. Mrs. Massey is married to Parnell Massey and they have one son. Congratulations, Mrs. Massey, and thank you for making an impact through education at Royal Oaks Elementary School. Next, we will honor students and staff at Concord High School. At this time, I'd like to invite any members of the Concord High School administrative team to please come forward to stand with their students and staff. Our first honoree from Concord High is Savannah Presley. Would Savannah and her family please come forward? It's okay to clap. Savannah is described by some as an unsung hero. She is a compassionate, humble young lady who continuously offers her best to everyone. Savannah exhibits the characteristics of a true servant leader in her school through many of her activities. She loves serving her fellow student body in multiple ways. She is a member of the National Honor Society, where she participates in tutoring some of the school's struggling students. She is also a member of the National Art Honor Society, the Spider Nation Spirit Club, the Dream Team, which is the daring to role model excellence as an athletic mentor, the French Club, and she serves as president of Nu Phi Mu. Most people will remember Savannah as one of the beloved Spider Girl cheerleaders. Always positive, always the example of a fine young woman on the field and in the classroom. Savannah's favorite subject is science, and she has a GPA of 4.1. Her plans are to attend either UNC Charlotte or North Carolina State and major in biology. Congratulations, Savannah, on receiving the Impact Through Education Award for Concord High School. Our next Concord High School honoree is Elroy McCrae. Would Elroy and his family please come forward? According to his football teammates, Elroy is affectionately known by the running backs and quarterbacks of opposing teams as Bang. This one word describes his passion not only on the field, but in the classroom as well. He is a true example of what a student athlete should be. Elroy is an honor student at Concord High, taking challenging courses while maintaining a 3.0 GPA. He was a founding member of the Alpha Male Leadership Institute, where students from Concord High meet with members of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity on Saturday mornings to work on communication skills, participate in service projects, hone SAT testing, and overall leadership skills. Elroy participated in a poverty simulation and volunteered with Habitat for Humanity through the Institute. Elroy is also active in the Concord High School DECA Club and the Cabarrus Health Alliance's Trail Club, which means taking responsibilities for actions in life. Elroy certainly lives out the meaning of this club by staying alcohol and drug-free and by setting the example for other student athletes. Elroy's coaches describe him as a young man who loves life, enjoys working with people, works hard, and is a lot of fun to be around. Elroy's goals are to be named all-conference as a defensive lineman this year, attend college, and study either business administration or sports marketing. Congratulations, Elroy, for making an impact through education at Concord High School. Our next honoree from Concord High School is Ms. Chrissy Rotan. And Ms. Rotan could not be here this evening because the Concord High School International Studies program is having their parent information night tonight, and so that's where she is. However, her daughter Olivia is going to accept the award on her behalf. Come stand closer to Ms. Black, sweetheart. Ms. Rotan has worn many hats at Concord High School, other than the one she wore as a Concord High graduate in 1989. She began her tenure serving as an SAT tutor for at-risk students while teaching Algebra 1 in 2006. Ms. Rotan decided to add a hat to her collection by serving as the lead mentor and testing coordinator at Concord High. In this role, she helped Concord strategically focus on student achievement while supporting teachers, especially new ones, in strengthening their instructional skills. One teacher commented that Mrs. Rotan is the best mentor a math teacher could ask for. She has an open ear and offers logical and heartfelt advice in times of need. She helps make everyone feel special, both students and staff. Last year, Mrs. Rotan added to her collection again. She is currently serving as the school's International Studies Program Coordinator as the school seeks International Baccalaureate certification. Through her leadership, Concord has a great group of about 65 students who are well on their way to earning an International Baccalaureate diploma. She has led the school's teachers through staff development that enables them to work increasingly well in collaboration with one another across disciplines, helping them tie all the educational experiences of the students together. The future of the International Studies program is bright under Ms. Rotan's leadership. We congratulate Mrs. Rotan and thank her for making an impact through education at Concord High School. And our final honoree from Concord High School this evening is Ms. Kathy Horsley. Would Ms. Horsley and her family please come forward? To say that Kathy Horsley has the patience of Job would be an understatement. Her love for people and desire to serve outweighs any difficult task or assignment given to her. She serves as a one-on-one assistant for a child with autism at Concord High, a child who has life-threatening special needs. Every day that he is living and breathing is a miracle. She goes out of her way to let him know that he has a family at school that loves him dearly and helps him to make the most of each and every day. Throughout the school, Ms. Horsley always has a smile on her face and always has a positive attitude. She always extends a helping hand and truly is an asset not only to the OCS students, but to the entire school. She encourages students and staff with her enthusiasm and passion for people. One teacher commented that Mrs. Horsley is the kindest, most patient individual who works at Concord High. She can always find the positive perspective when needed. She is such a joy to be around. Congratulations, Mrs. Horsley, for making an impact through education at Concord High.
Of all the things we do on the Board of Education, that's one of the fun things that we do, recognizing the children for their impact, on what they're doing in their schools. Board members, the next subject we have here in recognitions is 4.2, and I'd like to ask Ms. Kathy Auger to come to the podium for her to make this presentation. Ms. Auger.
Thank you, Mr. Shue. Vickie Honeycutt was an outstanding teacher and human resources administrator with Cabarrus County Schools. During her tenure, she taught teacher cadets who later became teachers in our district, was a state regional teacher of the year, served on the state teacher quality committee, was the 2009 North Carolina Grange Educator of the Year, and was instrumental in creating the strong teacher mentor program that exists in our district today. When we chose to honor two organizations who've given exemplary support to teachers for many years, it was natural that we named this award in her honor. This evening, we're presenting the inaugural Vickie Honeycutt Teacher Support Awards to the Cabarrus Regional Chamber of Commerce and the Cabarrus Education Foundation. Could I have Grace Minot representing the Cabarrus County Education Foundation and John Cox, Wayne King, and Cornelia Kerr representing the Cabarrus Regional Chamber of Commerce to come forward to be recognized. I'd like to share a few words about each organization. Through its sponsorship, the Cabarrus County Education Foundation has made significant and lasting impact on the recruitment and retention activities that we are able to provide for teachers. The foundation has supported us many years in celebrating teachers with activities ranging from orientation week meals, Teacher of the Year celebrations. They've sponsored beginning teacher receptions and gifts, and this is just to name a few of the many activities. Members of the foundation welcome our input, and they invite us to express areas where their presence will make a difference. Their steadfast support makes them deserving of this special honor this evening. And now I'd like to talk about new teacher orientation and the Regional Chamber of Commerce. New teacher orientation would not be the same without the grand kickoff our business community provides through the annual Cabarrus County Regional Chamber of Commerce New Teacher Luncheon. The school building buzzes with energy as local business hosts tables introducing their companies and providing small gifts for our teachers. The energy builds as they enter the cafeteria to a DJ's music and commentary, followed by a meal from Carrabba's restaurant. After dessert at the chocolate fountain, the chamber member businesses provide door prizes which are met with tremendous excitement. The luncheon is a grand culmination to a hard week of work, and our teachers know that the community is behind them. In honor of your contributions, I'd like to present the Cabarrus County Education Foundation and the Cabarrus County Regional Chamber of Commerce with a plaque of recognition. The plaques read, the Vickie Honeycutt Teacher Support Award, Cabarrus County Schools Human Resources Department honors your exemplary and steadfast support of teachers. Please give me a round of applause for the difference these organizations make in our community.
Okay, board members, moving on down the list here. The next one is 4.3. This is the Hilbish Ford Teacher of the Month Award. We got Mr. Tim Vaughn here tonight, General Manager up at Hilbish Ford, along with Dr. Shepard and Kathy Auger to make this Teacher of the Month Award. Tim, good seeing you tonight. I don't see that big long check. Oh, my.
Don't tell the recipient.
Good evening. Tonight, I'm pleased to present the Hilbish Ford Teacher of the Month for Cabarrus County Schools. As always, Mr. Vaughn, we appreciate Hilbish Ford's generosity, and thank you for saluting the great work that our teachers do. The Cabarrus County Schools Hilbish Ford Teacher of the Month for December 2012 is Jan Reagan. And Ms. Reagan, would you and your family and any members of your school's administrative team please come forward? Jan Reagan is a first grade teacher at Beverly Hills School. She was nominated for this award by one of her students' parents. In the nomination, the parent wrote, "I would describe Mrs. Reagan as being a teacher that you would like your child to have every year. She makes learning so exciting for students. She has a connection with her students that's evident in the classroom, in the cafeteria, and in the halls. My son comes home on a daily basis and shares all the wonderful things he loves doing each day, learning about bats and spiders, writing numbers, and reading. No matter what the topic they're covering in class, he comes home and loves to share about his day. It's been amazing to see his self-confidence at such a high level this year. He's excited to go to school every morning and be in her class. She's made such a difference for him." Ms. Reagan, please accept our congratulations and our thanks for all that you do each day to connect with your students and to make learning fun and exciting for them. So we are honored to have you as a part of the Cabarrus County Schools family. Thank you.
Well, we always appreciate Hilbish Ford for giving that award out each month. They've been doing that for a couple of years now. Not only did they do it for Cabarrus County, but also Kannapolis City Schools as well. So once again, Tim, thank you for being here, and thanks for sponsoring this award. The next award that we have is 4.3. It's the Energy Star Award, and I believe we got Mr. Maurer here, Cliff Maurer. And Cliff, if you'd come on up to the front here and make your Energy Star Award.
Good afternoon. I'm here tonight to present the Energy Star Award to one of our schools. But before I call the representatives up, I'd like to talk just a little bit about the Energy Star Award and what it means. As a school officer, we probably all know that the annual utility bills run at Cabarrus County School at a staggering $5.8 million a year. What we probably do not know is that the least efficient schools take 3 times more energy than a school that is energy efficient, and that a school that is Energy Star qualified costs 40 cents per square foot less than a school that is not certified. The Energy Star Award comes from the Washington, D.C.'s Environmental Protection Agency program, and it is used to recognize occupants of a building that have lowered their energy consumption. When a building becomes Energy Star certified, it means that the building has lowered its usage to a point where, when compared to other buildings in the nation, it ranks at the top 25%. Also, an Energy Star qualified building will use 35% less energy and will produce 35% fewer greenhouse emissions. To qualify, the school must first score at least a 75 on the test presented by the Energy Star qualification test. Next, the school must pass the Energy Star's engineer checklist, which means that the school must prove that the lighting is up to standards, that they also will evaluate the thermal comfort at the school to make sure that the temperature and the relative humidity are acceptable. And the engineer will also check ventilation to make sure that the HVAC system is supplying the proper amount of outside air. Tonight's winner of the Energy Star Award is Weinkauf Elementary, and I would like to call is Dr. James Davis, principal, please to come forward. And if Mr. Tyson Black, head custodian, if he's here, also. As I said previously, you have to score a 75 on the test. Weinkauf scored an 82. Also, last year, Weinkauf, when compared to the previous year, used 139,000 less kilowatt hours of electricity and 4,700 less therms of natural gas, thus keeping 919 metric tons of CO2 out of the atmosphere while providing an estimated $13,500 savings to the school district. Thank you, guys, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer, for having the Star Energy Award. That's a great accomplishment. If we get all of our schools to doing that, that would be wonderful. And we are working on it. The facilities and maintenance department, they're working on that daily. And so we appreciate all that you do there, Cliff.
Mr. Chairman, can
Yes.
I ask a question
Yes, you may.
at this point? Cliff, could you answer me, can you tell me what year that school was built? Because the point I want to make, this is not a new school, so it's not, it's not saying the new schools are doing this. This is one of our older schools.
Yes, ma'am. It's 2002.
2002, so it's not a newer school, so they're showing that all the schools could possibly do it, so that's a point
Correct.
I'd like to make.
They did a great job. Sorry.
Thank you again, Mr. Meyer.
Thank you.
Okay. Board members, thank you, Ms. Carpenter. Board members, we're going to move on to 4.5, and I'd like to ask Ms. Ronnye Boone back to the podium, and this is the Walmart Community Awards Program.
I'm back. I'd like to invite Mr. Eric Bonham, the store manager of Walmart at Concord Commons, to please come forward. This past summer, Mr. Bonham approached us with an opportunity for schools to earn money, equipment, and supplies through a variety of rewards programs that his merchants and vendors offer. So needless to say, our interest was piqued. In July, Walmart hosted an information session for schools and their fundraising chairs to learn about the various rewards programs like Box Tops for Education, Coke Rewards, and a number of other rewards programs. Mr. Bonham also implemented a community award program that spotlights community service and rewards program success at the classroom level. Through his connections, he's arranged for the winners of this community award that they give every month to receive tickets to NASCAR Speed Park, Carowinds, and this month for the holiday season, Speedway Christmas. And these are prizes that go directly to the students in the winning classrooms. Since the school year began, students from Coltrane Webb, Charles E. Boger, Pitt School Road, and R. Brown McAllister Elementary School have won prizes, while at the same time increasing their school's totals for box tops and other rewards programs, which will turn into supplies and equipment and sometimes simply cash for their schools. Mr. Bonham has agreed to also provide the prizes to tonight's winners for the Holiday E-Card contest. And on behalf of the Cabarrus County Schools and all the students in our school system, Mr. Bonham, we just want to say thank you for supporting our school system. Thank you for your generosity, and we really do appreciate it. So thank you very much. Please let our board members congratulate you, too.
Ms. Boone, we're going to move on to 4.6.
Yes, sir.
On the holiday e-card design contest winners.
Yes, sir. For the past 2 years, Cabarrus County School has hosted a holiday e-card design contest. Students are invited to submit holiday-themed designs that will be used as a superintendent's holiday greeting to community members, elected officials, and other colleagues. This year, we received more than 200 entries, so needless to say, it was a difficult decision for Dr. Shepard to select only 3 winners, but he did. And as I mentioned earlier, Mr. Eric Bonham from Walmart at Concord Commons graciously agreed to provide the prizes to our 3 winners. And this year's winners will receive a $25 gift card to Walmart just in time for the holiday shopping season. Dr. Shepard and Mr. Bonham, would both of you please join me down here at the front so that we can present the greeting card winners. Eric, I'm going to give these back to you. Our winner at the elementary school level is Leilani McFadden. Leilani, would you please come forward? Leilani is a second-grade student at Pitt School Road Elementary School. Her design features a jolly elf peeking around an oversized present. Leilani's art teacher is Jamie Kistler. Congratulations, Leilani, and we have a certificate for you that I'd like to present to you. Our winner for the middle school level is Anna Victoria Steele. Anna Victoria, would you please come forward? Anna Victoria is a 6th grade student at Harold Winkler Middle School. Her design features a stocking hanging over a roaring fire. The design is surrounded by a festive border, and Anna's art teacher is Lori Earnhardt. Congratulations, Anna Victoria. And our winner for the e-card design contest at the high school level is Amelia Howden. Amelia, would you please come forward? Amelia is a 12th grade student at Cox Mill High School. Her design features a stack of books wrapped with a lovely holiday bow. Her art teacher is Courtney Liam. Congratulations, Amelia.
I just appreciate so much community involvement, and that's a great deal for Walmart. Once again, Mr. Bonham, thank you for being here, and thanks for doing that for us, all that you've done. All right, now let's see, board members, we're going to move on to 4.7. This is the Positive Behavior Intervention Support, the PBIS, and we've got Mr. Jason Van Hukelum and Ms. Beth Kolb. Is she here tonight?
She is, yeah.
Okay. All
Mr.
right.
Chairman, members of the board, excited to recognize 9 schools today. I'd like Beth Cobb to come forward. Beth Cobb is our PBIS coordinator, so she'll get her picture with all of our schools. Keeping students engaged and maintaining a healthy, productive school environment is more important than ever. Positive behavior intervention and support is a framework of intervention practices, decision-making tools, and organizational systems used to establish the positive and productive learning environment needed for all students to achieve success. Schools that fully implement PBIS can expect to manage behavior more efficiently and consistently, decrease unwanted behavior, and witness a positive change in school climate. Over the past 5 years, Cabarrus County schools have grown from 1 school receiving state recognition to 9 schools receiving state recognition. At this time, we would like to honor the following schools for receiving green ribbon status from the state for implementing universal supports for all students. Would the members of the Royal Oaks and Coltrane Webb Elementary Schools teams please come forward for recognition? Great. You guys can shake the hand. This time we are proud to honor 5 schools for the universal implementation and secondary implementation. These schools are receiving model recognition from the state of North Carolina. Would the members of the following schools please come forward for recognition and to have their picture taken? A.T. Allen, Bethel, Mount Pleasant, Winecoff, and Wolf Meadow. Please come forward.
Get that Apple iPhone app? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to sew these 2 together. So one here. Mr. Dr. Adam. Dr. Adam. All right.
All right. Last round here, we are also proud for the very first time to honor 2 schools for achieving exemplar status with the state of North Carolina. These 2 schools have PBIS in place for all students, they have additional supports in place for some students, and they have intensive supports for a few students needing that highest level. Please congratulate the following schools, and would they please come forward? R. Brown McAllister and Beverly Hills Elementary School.
Okay, board members, we're going to move right on down the line to 4.8, where Dr. Shepard's going to make a Board of Education Special Achievement Award, and I'll have to go down to the podium to receive that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Board of Education. Want to make you aware that at the North Carolina School Board Association meeting in November in Greensboro, Ms. Carolyn Carpenter accepted on your behalf a Special Achievement Award to the Board of Education of Cabarrus County for successful completion of 12 hours of training, which is a requirement for all board members. And our board achieved all board members receiving those 12 hours, and so I present to you tonight this certificate.
I would be amiss if I didn't also mention, about we was talking about the 12 hours that's a requirement. The school board, the elected body of the school board, is the only only board in North Carolina that's required to have continuing education. And that 12 hours is something that we all do, but most of our members, in particular Ms. Carpenter, I think you had like 65 hours, 70 hours, and I think I had 50. I mean, there's a lot going on around here, when it comes to continuing education, and so that we can keep up on things. And we're just very thankful that we have the North Carolina School Board Association that provides the classes, the training, and because it's a steep learning curve for school board members. But I appreciate that award from the School Board Association, Dr. Shepard, and thank you, board members, for all the support that you give us and what you're doing for the children in Cabarrus County schools. All right, now we're going to move on to the next item, going to the 5.0, which is the approval of the minutes. 5.1 is approval of minutes from the November the 5th work session and the November the 19th business meeting. I hope you've had a chance to review those. And do I have any corrections, or do I have a motion that the minutes be approved as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion that they be approved as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
That's right. Those guys won't get to vote because they wasn't here. That's right. So yeah. Well, so all it'll just be Blake made the motion, Carolyn seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. That's us three, and the other four won't be able to vote on that because they wasn't part of it. Okay.
Yeah, but can it pass if it's only three? Because
Well,
that's not a majority.
Do we need to at least abstain or something?
Because that's not a majority.
Actually, the way, I know at least a few of you were actually at some of those meetings, but I think the way the voting works, if you do a voice vote in ayes, if there's no noes, actually it's all assumed to be affirmative. So the question is whether there's a affirmative. If you have abstentions, you remove that from the quorum, so you can still have something pass with abstentions. So if you want to abstain, that's an option. If you were here and believe the minutes reflected, even if you're in the audience, I think it'd be appropriate for you to say yes. So I think either way, we should be able to get passage on that.
Yeah, I was about to say, because you've only got three, and that's not even a majority.
Well, thank you, Ms. Carpenter, and also Ms. Don Recke for bringing it to our attention. That's the first time. There's always a first time for everything, folks, and this was one. So, but anyway, the minutes have been approved. So, okay. Ms. Monroe, you have record of that. That's the most important thing. Okay, the next section in our agenda tonight is the 6.0, which is the report section. And 6.1 is board chair comments. I don't have a lot of comments. I'll try to be real brief. It's been a long year. We're getting ready to start up a new year here, 2013, where people have, new beginnings. And, we say goodbye to 2012 and hello to 2013. We've got the Christmas holidays coming up and the winter break, and all the children are sort of excited about getting out of school. And it's just my prayer that while they're out, everybody will be safe. Everybody will have a wonderful Christmas and enjoy the season. And when we crank back up the 1st of January, we'll have everybody back accounted for. That's what the goal is. And so that would be my comments for tonight. And Dr. Shepherd, I think you may have some comments prepared also.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a few comments I'd like to make. We are at the midpoint for our second quarter, so progress reports will be distributed this week for our middle school and high school students. So parents, make sure your students have shared that information with you. Also want to remind our parents of our high school students that they can access the Parent Assist module, or PAM as it's known as, anytime to view their students' grades or attendance data online. It's a wonderful tool that's available to all CCS parents in the new year. Also, applications for admission to our CCS magnet programs are now being accepted. Applications are available online or at any of our magnet schools. To access the applications online, please visit the Cabarrus County Schools website. Look for the magnet application banner. And all magnet applications are due by February the 1st, 2013. I want to offer our words of congratulations to the Concord High School Spiders varsity football team. The team completed its season last week, playing the state championship game at Wake Forest University against Havelock High School. The Spiders finished their season 13-3, and congratulations to Principal Black, to Coach Pageant, and staff and football players and the Spider community. Also want to say congratulations to A.T. Allen Elementary for receiving a $30,000 grant from the Jimmy Johnson Foundation for its Windows to the World WeatherBug Station project. The school will purchase a weather station and 11 iPads for data analysis. The weather station will be available to the entire Allen school community, as well as the area STEM programs and the CCS Transportation Department as we make those difficult weather calls. We want to say thank you to the Duke Energy Foundation and to Piedmont Dance Theater for making it possible this past week for all of our third graders to attend a performance of the Nutcracker Ballet. I'm sure this was an experience that many of our students will not soon forget. I'm also excited to announce that the Cabarrus County Schools employees have donated nearly $30,000 this year to United Way of the Central Carolinas during our annual employee giving campaign. I want to say thank you to all of our employees for their generosity and their willingness to help our neighbors in need. And finally, I want to add my words of wishes for a safe and happy holidays to those of our chairmen. I hope you enjoy the winter break and come back rested and raring to go for the second half of the school year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shepherd. Okay, our next item is 7.1, guest speakers, and we have no one signed up to be a guest speaker tonight. So therefore, we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda, and these are items that we discussed in our work session. And do I have a motion that the consent agenda be approved as is presented?
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, the consent agenda has been approved. Now we'll move on to the action agenda, and these are items that were left over from the work session where some of the board members wanted, for whatever reason, to have issues clarified, and we have Dr. Sain at the podium to do the request for approval of policy revisions that are on a second reading. So Dr. Sain, when you're ready.
I'm ready. Good evening. I wanted to say thank you for the comments that were sent, and the policies have been adjusted according to those comments, and I wondered if you had any further questions tonight on any one of the policies.
Okay, board members, if you have questions, now would be the time. I'll start on my right. Mr. Shoemaker, do you have any questions about these policies on the second reading? No questions. Ms. Carpenter, no questions. Mr. Kiger?
I'm good.
Okay, Mr. Walter, any questions?
No questions, but can these be hyperlinked at some point?
Hyperlinked?
Hyperlinked, we have references to other policies. Is there a way to make those hyperlinked when we're reviewing this?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the end of what you had to say.
Can we do that like we do with the employee manual? When you go through that, if there's a policy or something, there's a hyperlink usually to that?
Yes, as we go through them, yes.
So from this point forward, maybe you can add those to the documents?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Harrison?
No questions, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison.
Thank
Mr.
you, Mr.
Phillips?
No, I don't. I like the changes that you made. I appreciate
you.
that.
Okay, thank you, board members, for your comments and for the questions that was raised. Do I have a motion that the request for approval of policy revisions on the second reading be approved?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, the request for approval of the policy revisions is approved. Okay, next, at 9.2, request for approval on the ORED consulting services. We have Mr. Lynn Vickie and Dave come up, and they're going to talk with us about this and get our questions and everything clarified so we can move on this item. Mr. Vickie, when you're ready.
Yeah, bring up the middle document. The document we're bringing up is the updated proposal from ORED, which hopefully, with a little bit of, I'll call it artistry, with a little bit of highlighting, it hopefully will be more understandable to the board. I wanted to clarify that the easiest way to say this is that the difference between options 1 and 2 are significant in terms of the work that is described, and I think the best way to do it is say simply that in both, and I wish I had these side by side, but in both efforts, in both option 1 and option 2, the work through January, February, and early March is all the same in both options. The difference is that in option 2, which is the lesser or less costly option, basically that work stops at conducting the GIS land use analysis, and at that point, with a relatively limited amount of information, the consultant would generate what would then be considered their optimal school site recommendations and attendance boundaries. The option 1, which is, as we said earlier, more expensive, does go into many other services, and those are outlined or highlighted rather in the 6 steps, I believe it is. Yep. No, 5 steps. I used to be able to count. That are described as starting with collecting school building capacity data, including anticipated reservations and so forth down this line. And I think I did it that way just so you would more easily understand, the amount of work, and you'll also see that the time frames are the same, one option to the other, with the fact that getting past March, option 2 basically is completed in the early part of the year, where the workload really begins after March and running through July for option 1. So there's a significant amount of work that's involved in these other 5 steps. And what we end up ultimately with is recommendations on the out-of-capacity tables. We end up with land use study, which involves a significant amount of communication with local entities like the utilities, like the county staff, and all the people that we would interface with in siting a school, and ultimately gives us recommendations again, down in the June-July area of optimum school siting and attendance boundaries. But that, as I say, is focused on a great deal more information. And across, it really encompasses involving a much larger group of people from the community in that process. So if there are any questions, we'll be happy to take those.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vickie. Board members, we'll start on Mr. Phillips' side. And as you recall, we discussed this in our work session, and we've got some of the items out of the way, but we maybe need some other things need to be clarified. So, Mr. Phillips, on your side.
Okay. Well, thanks for that clarification. I guess as I would describe it, this is a computerized model that they've produced and used in many different school districts, and in option 2, they're basically taking available data, turning the crank, and giving us the results. And I guess it's the old adage of garbage in, garbage out. If you don't do some kind of quality control on the data before you do the calculations, then you get something that may not be of high quality. So in option 1, they're actually going to go out and talk to various key people in the community who are involved in developing new homes and apartments, and try to get a better understanding as to whether this data is truly the right data to feed into the model. Am I describing that
in general
accurately?
terms? Yes,
okay.
Sir.
I had a couple of questions then. One is this. I was not familiar with what this ORED is, but from the names on the side of the letter, it looks like this is a nonprofit group that's organized by universities in North Carolina. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Dave, you want to talk to that?
Yeah, I'm not sure about their tax status, but I know they're affiliated with NC State University. They may be, I'd hate to guess, but I've always had the impression that they were state employees.
Okay.
That may not be right, but that's always been my impression.
Well, and my final question, I mean, you could probably gather from my first question, I'm leaning towards option one. But what I don't like about option one is that we don't really get the answer until July. And I think for planning purposes, it would be nice to get it sooner. Is there any way that we can get them to accelerate the study if we go with option one?
That's our normal mode of operation is to push and to get as much information as we possibly can. Certainly, we need to have the reliable information to work off of, but we certainly would be pushing to get information as soon as possible so that we could begin planning.
I think one of the things that I would suggest is early on, we're going to be talking with the folks who we would ask the ORAD people to communicate with and getting information early to them as to what they'll be looking for. So hopefully they can be gathering that information through early in the process so that when they do sit down and meet, there will be much more meaningful discourse.
Okay, I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Phillips. Mr. Harrison, do you have your questions, concerns?
I did ask a question last week, but just clarification again. This is a one-time arrangement, is that correct? Just for this year, it's not a long-term binding contract or agreement or understanding?
It is not a long-term binding contract. It is information that you would be using for the next 5 or more years.
Do you happen to know if we, in effect, maybe not, renewed is not the right word, but if we renewed this arrangement next year, they would have, I guess in theory, done some of the initial setup. Would the charge this time next year be the same or hopefully a little bit less?
No, I spoke to Mike Miller from...
If we were to renew in effect.
Right. Whenever this, let's say this lasts for 3 to 5 years in terms of projections and all, if we wanted to update it, it would be roughly $7,500 on an annual basis. But you wouldn't do that every year. You do it every so many years to sort of make certain that you have the latest data in place. And a lot depends on the growth that's going on in the county at that time. But that would be what they called an annual charge or a charge for a year's worth of analysis and updating. And it just depends on when you choose to do that.
So just to get it in my mind, next year the charge would be $7,500 to extend or update the data.
That is correct, yes, sir. If you chose to do it at that time.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And again, the delivery date for the first report would not be until July, as it stands at this moment?
As it stands at the moment. And there'll be portions of deliverables throughout the process, but the full report will be completed June to July.
The one thing I did appreciate that Dr. Sain said last week, and I believe both of you gentlemen concurred with, and this is my translation, was that in terms of the skill set within our current staff, that this report would fill at least some of the information. Otherwise, I guess we would have to find or hire a statistician who had a part-time night job as a swami and a crystal ball reader to come up with this same data, at least as a baseline or as an initial set of data for us to move forward and make some empirically based decisions.
I think we have some talented people on staff, but unfortunately they're doing
very talented.
They're doing a lot of other things at the moment. It would be very difficult to pull those staff away to do this one task.
I understand. It's a very time-consuming.
Yes, it is.
Task,
Yes.
as you've known from past experiences.
Correct, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Mr. Walter.
I just want to again say thank you. I had some questions earlier, and you guys have spent a lot of time making sure all my questions were answered. There was some history behind that I wasn't aware of before, and it's a big learning curve to see how all this process goes through. But I think you've explained the differences between the two proposals, so I'm comfortable with it right now.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walter. Mr. Kiger, you have your comment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am in support of option one. My view is somewhat skewed because I've been talking with these two gentlemen about this for approximately 4 months now in our subcommittee. So I've talked about it and heard about it and read a little bit about it and kind of understand where we're going and what the goal is to try to gather as much information as we can. I do think we need to point out that one of the things is with the July delivery, we're at a little bit of disadvantage. It's really not going to help us with the current land acquisition committee. I mean, we're going to be doing two things at one time that I would hope by July we've got a site and we're moving forward with that. Now, we may be able to pull some data as they're going to help us, but I guess wanted to clarify, this is more for the long range and long-term planning after the current school site is selected. At least that's the way I'm kind of looking at it. Am I correct in that?
We do expect to be able to get data to locate this school site that we're looking at right now. We do expect that.
Okay, fantastic. That's even better. I mean, I was comfortable with the long-term portion, but if we can use it in that regard, that's even better. So that's, again, I'm for option one, Mr. Chairman, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kiger. Ms. Carpenter?
Yeah, because that's what I thought this whole thing, and because that's what I thought this whole thing was for. That's why I thought we were doing this. And I was a little disappointed that was not the case. I thought that's why we bought this all up. And that's why I was hoping with this data, and I want your assurance, is really that, that between this difference in this money, that the 26, you know how I am, I like to pinch those pennies.
Yes, ma'am.
Hopefully between option one and option two, we're looking at $26,000. You're comfortable with that between those two options, that I'm getting my $26,000 difference between those two options. That's what you're assuring me. Is that correct?
I will say, in a former life as a consultant, I used to do these sort of investigative procedures, and I can guarantee you they're not overcharging you for the amount of time it will take them to conduct the studies and the research that they're talking about.
And we're going to get something you feel comfortable that we can use. We're not going to get this report and it's going to sit on the shelf and draw dust or glitter or whatever.
No, I think as the county grows and the number of students grow, I think this will become an essential part of our planning now and in the future.
But you're feeling comfortable that we're going to get the data we need, because like we mentioned earlier, we were hoping that a lot of this data would help us with the site selection, what we're looking at right now. And with myself and Blake and y'all on the site committee, we're really needing that information so we can look for the sites or find what we need to find the sites for the current, especially elementary.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need. We need this data to know where we need to go, what we need to be looking at. And so the quicker we can get this data, the better off we're going to be. So, and if you're comfortable with that, then that's where we need to go.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Carpenter, for your comments. Mr. Shoemaker?
Well, I was looking at the scope on both option one and option two, and it just looks like they've kept the same labor level and stretched the project out, and that's where you get your $43,000 from. I'm all in favor of option two, option one, but some of the deliverables in option two, one of them was to generate an optimal school site attendance boundary scenario. I wonder if we could set some multiple deliverable dates for them so that we can get portions and pieces of this as they progress through the study. Like an early deliverable would be some of these boundaries that would be shorter term, and then as they deliver us a 10-year study, which I assume this is going to kind of give us a projection over a 10-year planning period. Is that correct?
Yes, it will be providing demographic information and projections over a 10-year period per school or per attendance zone. So, but as far as the sequencing of that, certainly our first goal is to site the new elementary school. As far as student assignment possibilities from there, really we'd want to wait until we finalize the location of the site just in case it's not where they recommended. So once we do know the final location of that elementary school, then we would want to do the scenarios on the student assignment.
Okay, so that means that we could possibly move up an earlier deliverable in the May-April timeframe, because if you look at what we're faced against, is we're going to be coming up with a budget that's going to have to be kind of fully thought out by June, and we're going to have less than May to get our arms wrapped around what the study is looking like. So I'd like a little more time so that we can incorporate our needs for the future, the immediate future, into this budget, or at least get with the commissioners and make sure they're on the same page with us. So we're not waiting till after the budget and then we're doing a knee-jerk to the whole process because we've got left out information. So for you guys is to kind of get their scope in such a way that we can get some deliverables that will be apropos to the budget coming up, and that that we can attack that well and get with the commissioners and get them on the page with us in the immediate, and then the future stuff comes later.
100% agree, and we're very anxious to start.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Shoemaker, and fellow board members, for all your comments and questions. Some good questions was raised, and I appreciate your due diligence looking into all these and getting your questions answered. And as for myself, I think that from the get-go that option one is probably the better mode to go, and it's going to give us more of what we need rather than less than what we need, and then wonder why we didn't get it 6 months from now. So just go and do it now and be done with it. And Mr. Harrison, in reference to your question about an ongoing thing, just from my point of view, I don't think Mr. Vickie can be better answer this than me, but I don't think we'll be doing this too regularly at this price. It may 4 to 5 years from now have to be done again, but I don't foresee us doing it again in at least 4 to 5 years. And then, as Mr. Phillips and Mr. Shoemaker and maybe a couple of others have made mention, the time frame is a key concern. Knowing up front that what's driving this issue is the need for an elementary school in the Northwest area. And so it's imperative that this company understand that that's one of the driving factors for us looking at this, and they need to really work with us on getting us the information that we need, as Mr. Shoemaker said, so we can get that information to the commissioners, so we can start getting some funding for some land, because that's a critical issue now in the Northwest area, because every day we talk about it, our schools are growing again in those areas. They're getting more kids in, and they're growing. Even though we've done the redistricting here just recently, those kids that we took out, we're going to be getting new ones to come right back and fill their shoes. And so in the meantime, we've got to be working on behind the scenes and getting this thing accomplished. All right, are there any other questions before we go to the vote?
Mr. Chairman, I just
Yes.
have one. Lynn, you said something in response to David's question that you thought an upgrade to update this study would be about $7,500 as long as we did it within a reasonable time frame of 2 to 3 years. And so that's what and you've got that pretty much in writing from them, or is that kind of a conditional thing?
No, I have it in writing.
Okay.
Yes, sir. As an email, but I mean, it is in writing.
But they've kind of said that they would hang their hat as long as the study doesn't get too out of date, and it
Exactly.
wouldn't be hard for them to resurrect it and continue on.
Right.
Yes, Mr. Harrison.
Beg your pardon, one more follow-up, please. So in effect, we are saying that while this study is being kicked off and generated and created, and there'll be touch points where this agency will speak with you periodically, in the meantime, we'll be using our own resources to confirm as much local data as we can to feed to the land use committee. I guess what I'm saying is I think I heard that we are accumulating what data we can on our own between now and June or the summer, and that when this report arrives, in some sense, it will be a confirmation or will help us adjust our presumption or our assumptions up to that point. I guess what I'm asking is, how are we feeding current data to the Land Use Committee, and stop me if I misunderstand anything, while this report is being generated? What's the two-prong or the parallel approach?
Right, I'm still continuing to monitor enrollment and to monitor growth and make projections based on that.
Based on your access to local
Right.
county
Right.
data.
So this should come in, this should provide more depth to the data that I have, and hopefully it'll confirm what I have.
Right. And I'll just go ahead and repeat some other sentiments. The data and the empirical approach that we're taking here, either locally or through this agency, is in addition to the human factor, and it is in addition to making sensitive decisions in consideration of the county's taxpayers, parents, the regions that would be affected by all the data that comes to us. I just want to emphasize that the data alone will not be the final decision, but that it would help make the decision. And then this board would sensitively do our best to understand how the data affects the decision and the logic that we try to apply.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I guess I just want to make a comment that we are currently actively pursuing a parcel. So I don't know, in all this discussion, it sure sounds like we're going to sit back and wait till July, and we're not doing that. We are going to continue to look and continue to pursue. We're going to use whatever data we get when we get it. I guess that was my question. I wasn't 100% sure how much or what we were going to get as we're moving forward, but we've had conversations with the commissioners. I've been given the green light to go pick a parcel, and that's what we're going to continue to go do. So we're going to use what we can when we get it, but it's not going to hinder us or hold us up. We're not going to sit around and wait till July. I can assure you of that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Kiger. Mr. Shoemaker, you have another comment?
Just one more comment. Could you give us a deliverable schedule now that you've heard our comments and how we want to move this forward? Because, Mr. Kiger's thinking still July, but I'm trying to get some deliverables for these folks to be working with in March, April-ish timeframe. So, at the very latest. Again, we need to have this as much near-term data as we can get, and then the long-term comes on, but what they can help us with in the immediate near term. So a new deliverable schedule would probably be helpful in getting us anchored.
We can do that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shoemaker. Okay, Board, the decision that we have to make tonight is that the motion is that the Board approve the use of ORED Consulting Services at a cost of $43,500. This is for integrated planning for school and community for Cabarrus County Schools. And I think that needs to read not to exceed $43,500. I think we need to add that to that motion, not to exceed $43,500 for IPSAC. All right, with that being said, do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Okay, who made the motion? Mr. Phillips. Mr. Phillips made the motion. Mr. Kiger seconded it. All in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Vickie. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the meeting that we have tonight. We're going to be needing to go into closed session here just for a couple of minutes tonight because we do have some issues there. And we need to move into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318-11A3 to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. And pursuant to General Statute 143-318-11A6 to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, or conditions of initial employment of an individual public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against an individual public officer or employee. Do I have a motion that we convene in closed session?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the meeting for tonight. We'll see you back in January. Hope you have a happy time off during the Christmas season. Good night.